In today's episode, we're going to be checking out the new Revstars by Yamaha. I'm going to be reviewing this model, which is the standard. This is the middle one. So they have the first model, which is like $500, and then it goes to $2,000. The $2,000 model is made in Japan. This one is made in Indonesia. So very impressive. It comes with a deluxe gig bag, which is a very nice gig bag at this price point. And I just want to tell you, in the current climate, in the current market, where the prices have been skyrocketing and you're getting less for your dollar, I think this is Yamaha literally coming at it and saying, we got to give you something more than what we gave you before. And I think that's what we're seeing here, because the feature list on this and the quality on this is next to none. I can say that to be really clear. Okay, so specifications. We have a 3-piece mahogany neck and a mahogany chambered body that says it's a tuned chamber, that they just didn't randomly drill holes, that they thought about it and how the holes would affect how the strings would vibrate. Now this guitar is not light. This one right here, I'll get the weight right there when I weigh it later. I'll tell you. And so it's not heavy, but it's not super light. Considering I thought it was going to be chambered, or it is chambered, I thought it would be a little lighter than it is, but it's very nice. Like I said, mahogany body with a maple cap. And so whether they paint it or not, it's a maple cap. You have a rosewood fretboard with 22 stainless steel jumbo, highly detailed frets. This fret and dress on these stainless steel frets is fantastic. The nut is made of graphite, and the nut width is 1.692 inches, which means it's going to feel really comfortable when you're making those chords. You have standard tuning keys, which are just probably Yamaha branded. They're not even that. Non-locking keys, but they are very nice. It has a satin feeling neck, so satin neck, even though the body is gloss, which is a nice touch as well. You have 2 of the Yamaha pickups. These are their pickups, and we'll check them out, of course, when we do the sound sample. You have a volume and tone control and a 5-way switch. But more importantly, you have this hidden push-pull pot right here, which is essentially a boost switch. Now, this is the important part that I want to talk about when we get to the geeky stuff in the specifications. This boost switch is passive. There is no battery in this guitar, yet this is boosting the guitar about 6 dB. So you are getting a legitimate boost. At first, and like I said, we'll cover in the geeky stuff, I thought it was a trick, and a trick meaning maybe they were doing something to suppress the pickup's output, and then by pulling this up, you were just letting the pickups do what they want to do. But actually, they came up with something way more ingenious than that. It's a legitimate boost. It is powered, but it's powered by your amplifier, and we'll talk about that. You have beautiful inlays done in the neck, and I think they're kind of subtle right here. Just like these little lines, really nice. Something else to point out is that it's a 24 3/4 scale length, like a Les Paul, but another cool feature, again, showing the really high attention to detail and extra features, is there's 2 carbon fiber rods in the neck with the truss rod. That just takes it that extra mile. Okay, so let's get started with the geeky stuff. And first, what we're going to do is check all the frets to see if they're level. And let's go ahead and start with that. Like I've said in previous videos, you can use a fret rocker to test each fret, but I like to just play the notes one by one to get a feel for it. I find the more you play your guitar, the more you'll get a better feel of how it plays. Okay, so the frets are absolutely perfectly level, no dead spots at all. Let's go ahead and check the relief on the neck, and it looks good. Just a little bit of teeny play, just a little bit. There's a little bit of relief in the neck, which is nice. I mean, like I said, you don't always want it bone straight, although this looks good. This looks good. Thing that really sticks out about this guitar, before we get into just how it sounds, is these frets. Now, one of the things I love to do is just show you how you bend on them. It's effortless. This is 10 to 46 gauge strings on it. It feels amazing. Just the frets are polished that well. Before we do the sock test, I want to show you a couple things on this guitar. You can see the highly detailed fret ends on this guitar, and you can see how there is no blade of the frets because there's binding. I want to show you how they do this because it is very work intensive. What they do is they basically round off the edges of the fret, especially this stainless steel fret, before it even goes on the fretboard. Then they go ahead and remove a section of the blade underneath so they can drop it right into the fretboard and have a perfect fret end, as you can see right here. Let's go ahead now and do the sock test. Rub the edges to see how nice they are, 1 to 5, 5 being they're amazing, and 1 meaning they need work. So let's go ahead. And you can see right here, just a tiny little mark right there, which is nothing. Like I said, that's pretty fantastic. Let's go ahead and walk to the other side, like so. And this side, just a little bit more. A couple little marks right here. I would give this a 4.5 out of 5. Next, let's check the nut, and we can do that by pushing down on the 3rd fret and just seeing there how much the gap is there. And looking at this, it's absolutely perfect. The low E is probably the most shallow, and when I mean shallow, it means the string is the highest. The nut, the slot was cut the least deep, if that makes any sense. And it's still perfectly fine. And why that's important is, again, I call it like when you're playing those barred F chords, when you're pushing down right there, you know, some of us know that's a little tricky, even for us players that have been playing for a little while. And so that's a great way to check the nut, and the nut is cut beautifully. So again, I would give that 5 out of 5. So let's go ahead and check the action, and right now I'm looking at it as 1.75 millimeters off the 12th fret on the low E, 1.5 on the high E. Pretty consistent measurements across the board, so pretty good. Like I said, on the average, we've seen most of the guitars out of the box are coming with 2 millimeter action off the 12th fret. This, a little bit of relief with that action, feels great. That's probably why it plays so nice. Now, as we mentioned, it's a 12-inch radius fretboard, which is pretty flat. Let's see if we can determine what kind of neck profile. They call it the Yamaha neck profile, so definitely a C shape. I'll put the measurements on the 1st fret and the 12th fret. Very comfortable, what I call the Goldilocks neck. In other words, right in the middle. Now let's look at the back carve. You can see where they've kind of angled this in a set neck position right here. And they have a little bit of there. I like to call this the handshake, where I hold the guitar right there. The reason I call it the handshake is how comfortable is it to hold the guitar right there? Because that lets us know when you're playing up there, how easy is the access, how does it feel? And pretty good. I can tell you that you'll feel pretty comfortable up to the 21st fret. That 22nd fret is a little bit of a weird, awkward, kind of like this is just kind of in your way. So let's go ahead and meter these pickups. I'm really curious to see what happens when we do that. The bridge is at 8.68K, so 8.68, which is very low output. I'm very shocked to see that. I want to go ahead and go to the neck. We're at 8.29 or 8.30K. So again, very consistent in that. Again, in the PAF territory for sure, lighter output pickups for sure. But there you go. And when we go to this position 4, nothing's happening. So just be aware of that. So in position 4, where it simulates the single coil tone, and we said it's not a single coil, it's because nothing's changing. It's 8.29 as well. Again, we're going to go to the position 2 just to see if it's coil splitting anyway. It's not 8.68. It's actually staying very consistent. So let's take a look inside at the electronics. We obviously have a 5-way super switch, which is how they're getting those out of phase positions with the 2 humbuckers. The wiring seems very clean and done really well. There's no burn marks from soldering irons or any other issues that I can see. The push-pull tone pot is pretty standard. There's nothing special there with a basic capacitor. The volume pot is an alpha pot. Again, very basic. The cavity is shielded. I did test that, so that is true. But the big thing we have to talk about is there's a transformer. And what they're doing is they're taking the very little voltage that's coming out of your amplifier into your guitar, and they're basically amping that up for the boost. Let me demonstrate. Okay, let's go ahead and show you the boost and how it works. Let's go ahead and strum the guitar. You see we've got a peak right there. Let's go ahead and pull this back up. So as you can see here, it actually works. They are using a passive amplification system to boost the guitar. To start with some clean tones, we're going to go ahead and use my Fender 65 Deluxe Reverb with an SM57. It's a beautiful balanced sounding guitar. It doesn't sound very bassy. It sounds very clean in this neck position. And the intonation is so good. That's nice. This is for someone looking for that full, rich, mid-range tone that cuts through a mix and just sounds really, really good. One thing about mid-range sounds in guitars especially is that they are very easy to sound bad. They're very easy to be nasal, where this guitar's, the mids are in your face. But they're beautiful, and that's the thing about making a beautiful sounding instrument, is that you don't have to compensate for it when you play. You just feel like whatever you're... Whatever you want to play, just come singing out. Let's go to position 4. And now what you're going to have is a single coil tone that's out of phase, and that gives you what I call the honk factor, which is different because if you notice a lot of times when I talk about out of phase in other videos, I've always said it's very nasal. And this is a little nasal, but it's really got the honk sound, that which is great for those that just fat notes that stick out, because the mids, this is a great frequency. Again, we go to the middle position. It's going to be the 2 humbuckers. And it balances out, which is nice, because one reason I was a little concerned about that is because usually the bridge is going to be bright, the neck is going to be dark or bassy, right? So trebly, bassy kind of thing. And when you hit the mids, you get that sweet spot in the middle, really, really common on Telecasters. With a guitar where the neck has more mids to my ear, I'm really afraid that all of a sudden when you go to the middle, it's just going to get brighter mid sounding. But in this case, awesome. Now we're going to go position 2. And again, more of a single coil tone with, again, out of phase. And you're going to get this has got a little bit of that nasal, but I think that's on purpose. It's got that. Now let's go to the bridge. And you can feel it's got a little push to it, so it's really pushing the amp. I can feel the amp just want a little breakup at the end of that. One of the best sounding bridge pickups I've heard in a long time, where it doesn't have a shrill high tone, it's not brittle, it just sounds warm. In fact, these sonically are not much different. It's really interesting. Like I said, usually you're used to the bright and bassy sounds of the bridge and then the neck. And in this one, you got, like I said, you're in the mids a lot, and you get the bridge, and if you want, like here. It just darkens up. It's just nice. Okay, so we have a tone control. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's talk about this boost. And again, they're going to call it something else. I forget what they call it. I'll put it right there. But it's a boost control. Now, this is not only boosting the how much signal is going back to the amp, but also it seems like it's boosting, again, the low mid frequencies. So I just want to give you a taste of that. I'm going to start with the bridge with a chord. Okay. And it gets a little muffly because it's kind of pushing that mid kind of on the tone control halfway point. And you can tell you can actually still use your tone control in this position or without it. So here you go. So let me take you and show you why it's pretty cool. So let's go, instead of starting with the neck, I'm going to start with the 4th position, which is that out of phase single coily thing. Boost that. And I want to show you why that's great. Instead of playing a lick, just play a note. That's all you need. Without it, Again, it sounds like when I pull the boost, not only getting that signal punch, but you're getting a lot of this low-end bass that, again, feels like turning the tone control back. Now, there's a reason why that's cool. So what I've done is I went ahead and engaged the Smallbox by Friedman pedal. And it's, again, a lot of mids, a lot of precise attack. Now, here's why I like the boost, because even though we're using a good amount of gain, I want to show you that. Now, if you were playing that, go to neck pickup and solo, that's pretty nice. But you can also just use the boost. And what I love about this is, even though we're staying on the bridge pickup, when I boost, you'll notice that it kind of goes into that neck territory because it's getting that, adding that low end kind of warmth, okay? So. And what I love is, listen to how long those notes hang now because I'm boosting the amp. So let's go ahead and see how it sounds with the in-between sounds. This is that, again, a single coil simulation, because it simulates a single coil with out of phase tone. Got that cocked wall kind of sound. And what I want to now is see how well the pickups clean up. That's halfway. Full. Okay, I want to try something. I'm going to try and sustain with the bridge, with and without this boost engage. Here's without it. The boost. Final thoughts on this guitar. Although I try to reserve myself to ever say, this is the most amazing guitar ever, or this is the best guitar at this price point I've ever played, very rarely do I get to kind of shell that out as a statement. I will say this, it sits in a place where I think if you are looking for something different, you've found it. If you're looking for something you haven't tried before. And one thing I love about this guitar is that, as you know on the channel, we talk about modifying guitars. At this price point, maybe if you want to go to locking keys because you don't want to spend, the extra few minutes restringing, locking keys, and that's it. I wouldn't change a single thing. I wouldn't change the pickups, because the way that they spent the time to make these sounds work, this is actually its selling point. This isn't a guitar where it's like, if you upgrade it, it'll be something a lot nicer. I think you get it out of the box and this is the way it goes. Locking keys would be the only suggestion, which is a very, very cool thing considering I reviewed guitars that are $1,000 that haven't impressed me like this. As always, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the video to this point and you haven't subscribed, please consider it. I appreciate that. And also if you could give it a like, because it makes me feel a little better. As always, guys, thank you so much for your time. Till the next time, know your gear.